Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Literally Dead Book Club live show for the month of May. I always get confused at the beginning. Sorry, we're 2 minutes late. We were just catching up. We're talking about Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zeng by Kylie Lee Baker.
I wish I had mine because I love the cover.
It's okay. You can't be expected to bring it with you on a trip.
Yeah.
That's a little silly.
I was bring that, and I swear to God, I was going to wear the merch, but it was a sweatshirt, and I can't fit it under the plane.
No, say I literally.
Hannah's saying the same thing.
And I couldn't find it, so.
I just got a new one. I'm trying out the 100% cotton from Bonfire because somebody asked me if it was like if I could make a listing for it. I don't actually like it, and I don't think the colors show up very well on this specific color, so I did pull it down. But there are a couple lighter colors that might work. Nobody cares. Just
no, actually, you would think that color wouldn't work on you, but it does.
No, I love that color on you.
Thank you kindly. And then for the month of June, just in case you didn't know, we are reading Eat the Ones You Love. And I just wanted to mention this because we do have the live show actually coming up pretty quickly. It's not going to be next month. It's going to be this month. When? I don't know. The 29th, I think. So that'll be with Jordaline and Gabby. But today, let's focus on this. Actually, first, let's focus on my co-hosts. They've both been here before, but I will give them a little moment to, I don't know, pitch themselves. I don't know why I say it like that. Tell us your name and your channel and any recent favorite like mystery, thriller, horror stuff, while the people in the comments tell us if they read the book or not. You can give us a little bat emoji if you read it. If not yet and you're waiting for us to convince you, we will give you a quick like spoiler-free explanation of our ratings, which I don't know either of yours because I think we all finished it like pretty recently. And no one's posted a review anywhere or anything, so I'm in the dark, which I love.
I have put on.
Oh, did you? Oh, I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't put one on my story. I just said I finished it because I knew you'd be lurking. Also, first of all, CJ, here's the cover. Someone asked to see the cover.
Please. It's so pretty.
This is the Evernight edition, Illumicrate. Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Jan from Jan Agathon. Sorry, were you done with your spiel?
Yes.
Okay. I read a lot of horror. I read a lot of everything. Romance, fantasy, lit fic, some nonfiction sometimes. And I do a lot of vlogs, TBRs, wrap-ups. TBRs just came back this year.
Oh, yeah.
I have a book club, Patreon, yeah, whatever. And then the recent horror thrillers I loved. I wrote them down. When the Wolf Comes Home was 4 stars. Feral by Gemma Amore. Have either of you read that? It's so short. It's so good. Wait, Kayla, have you read Shy Girl yet? Or either of you?
No, but I plan to.
So good. That was a 5-star. That's like my number 2 of the year right now. It's so freaking good. And then Blood on Her Tongue was also 5 stars for me.
I'm scared of that one.
Why?
Because they said it's body horror and the thing that like the body horror that I can't handle.
Oh.
Wait, you asked me about it. I told you the body horror in it.
Was it like eyeball?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Eyeballs? I'm in.
Well, I own the book and I own the audiobook. And I started reading the physical book and didn't get that far into it before somebody was like, I don't know if you can do it. So I might read it, but.
Wait, you don't like eyeball? Anti-Rex for Kayla? Wait, you don't like eyeballs, but you like Mayfly.
No, yeah. It's not. It's like a particular kind of
eyeball.
No, it's not about that. It was the way that they said it where I was like, oh, that particular kind of body horror. Like say I'll tell examples of something that got me in this book. Like when we get into, I mean, it's not a spoiler, but I mean, I'm not even going to say it until we get into spoilers, but stuff like that like, I was like, okay, no, like I can't handle it. And based on, I watched the movie, The Substance with my patrons and lost 10 to 15 years off of my life. I wish I'd never seen it. It was the best movie I've ever seen, but I was scarred. And that's the kind of body horror I cannot handle.
Ah, I see.
Interesting.
Speaking of anti-Rex for Kayla, I'm really, I don't know if you saw my story, but I'm really thinking of DNFing Feast While You Can.
I love us as a duo. It's just so good because, like, how are we reading the same books all the time and having such opposite reactions to them? Which makes me so curious about this. I wonder, did I hate it? Did I love it? Did Jan hate it? Did she love it?
I was just telling somebody the other day at the bookstore, my friend, they had Lights Out, and I said, so this is hilarious because I have 2 friends that have read this and 2 friends only. Kayla liked it, shook, shaken, stirred. And then Jan literally messaged me unprompted and said, this book is terrible. Do not read it.
I know that Gabby just finished it too. Did you see that?
I was watching her vlog. Yeah, she liked it.
She gave it like a 4.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not a Katie book. I feel like Katie would get cringed out.
Oh, I agree.
Like really fast.
Katie, introduce yourself, please.
Oh yeah.
Hi. I'm Katie Colson from the aforementioned Katie Colson channel. I guess, well, I do read a lot of horror. I read a lot of random stuff, but it's mainly just ranting and raving. It's not a lot of consistency. That's not what I would call myself. I will say the only thing that matters, because it's the thing I've got going on, is that in July, I'm doing a readathon based on Hunger Games. Called Sunrise on the readathon. It's going to be so freaking fun. And I don't think I'll understand. It's going to be so good. I've been becoming mentally unwell, challenging for it. But a recent book, technically recent because I'm almost halfway through, but I'm pretty sure I picked this up because of Jan. Or I'm pretty sure I'm reading this because of her. And if I'm not, I don't know who suggested it.
Yes. 5 stars.
Okay. I started it on the plane. I'm obsessed. I love it.
Then this is why I haven't done a do your worst for you yet.
I have dog ears. I'm writing in it. This is a good time. I'm living.
I DNF'd that after 2 chapters.
The chapters are like 1 page long.
I was over it.
What?
I'll try again.
That's crazy.
Oh my god.
Wait, I think this is a video idea. You have to read books that Jan and I have opposite ratings for, and then you have to read the books and see who you align with more.
See, the thing that what I would never get, I would never be able to predict. Well, actually, maybe I could. Like romance. Because like Jan's like, this Lights Out, terrible. This happens. But then like whatever that one book, all the sinners, the sinners duet, where I was like, did you remember? And I read out a whole paragraph and she was like, no.
Okay, but Sophie Lark is gross now, so we don't talk about her.
Forgot about that. Yes. Oh, and then the only other thing, the tiebreaker. I love that. Recently, I loved Don't Let the Forest In. That was really, really good. And I really enjoyed When the Wolf Comes Home.
Oh, I didn't realize you both have read that. Okay. I need to get to it. I got it from Aardvark, I think.
Didn't we read it both for our book club, Jan, again?
Maybe. I don't know. I think I just picked it up. I don't know why I picked it up, but I read it.
While Jan tells us the synopsis of the book, you guys in the comments can tell us what you rated it. It already sounds like it went pretty well. There's a lot of people here, so it makes me feel like not many people like gave up on it, and it's a good read for people. So,
okay,
you will.
I'm doing this.
I know. I always make a newbie do it, and there's nobody here who's a new, so I was like, I just gotta pick somebody.
She's like, pick the Asian one to represent. I wasn't gonna say that live, but
Chan.
the segue was there.
I thought that was an inside joke between y'all. No. It took so long for Kayla to respond. I was like, oh no.
I have my Instagram notifications dead off. Like I never turn them on even for a minute. So I don't see it. The thing you sent at 2 a.m. I didn't see until, half an hour ago.
Well, just know it was 5 a.m. for me.
Oh, sucks. Katie has not slept, everyone. Not much.
And just eaten after like 24 hours.
Yeah. I was like, I'll be here. You understand? I kicked my family out. I read this book and I'm not giving up on it.
Okay. The year is 2020. There's no toilet paper to be found. No one knows what's going on. There's a serial killer targeting East Asian women. our main character, Cora, is a crime scene killer. Nope, not
Nope.
crime scene killer. Crime scene cleaner. And she literally cleans up all the messes of these kills. So she's like, what's going on? She's trying to figure it out with her friends. There may or may not be some paranormal stuff later on. There's a sister dynamic. First chapter's wild. And there's also a huge focus on racism towards people of Asian descent, specifically during the COVID pandemic.
Great. Perfect pitch.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. If you want to read more, there's probably a little bit more in the synopsis, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
That's plenty. But actually, we'll tell you our ratings, and then maybe it'll help you. Before we get into any spoilers, just a 1-sentence explanation of why you gave it the rating that you did and what your rating is.
Okay. I gave it a 4.
Okay.
I gave it a 4. I usually don't like pandemic books, but I see obviously why it had to be in the pandemic or during the COVID. And this was good. I love this author. I love her horror. This is way more than 1 sentence. I love how she writes horror elements, especially body horror. So 4 stars.
Great.
Yes. I think 3.75.
Okay.
I think I was going to say 3.5, but like, I don't have any, the way I would describe my rating is I don't have anything like negative to say. Like, I really don't. Like, anything negative I would have to say is just like, oh, okay. So there's no reason it should be lower than a 3.5. So I was like 3.75 because there are plenty of things I really enjoyed. So I would say 3.75 just because I, oddly enough, saw a lot of it coming.
That's interesting. Okay, so if Jan gave it a 4, that means I should have given it a 1, right? I gave it a 4.
Whoa!
Hey, we lied.
How monumental.
It's so funny because my little sentence blurb was pretty much exactly what Katie just said. I can't think of a single thing wrong with this book. Like, I don't actually have a single complaint. I don't have a single negative, but it just doesn't have the 5-star feeling to me. So I ended up giving it a 4. I think the visuals and the atmosphere, incredible. I had this pull to want it to feel more like a mystery, want it to feel more like a thriller. But if I actually look at the book objectively, I don't think it should have done that. Like, I don't think it should have been a detective kind of feeling where like she is solving the crime, gets the answer, the world is won. Like, but I felt like maybe I wanted something like that, but then I don't think it should have been. So no negatives to be seen.
Did you guys do the audiobook?
No. So I'm going to pronounce every character's name wrong.
I did half and half.
Okay. Was the audiobook good? Would you
It was
recommend?
okay. It wasn't bad.
See, I think based on what you just said, maybe it would make it a little bit more sense of like, I liked everything that was happening. I just don't know if it was a long enough book or if there was a lot of things going on that I didn't feel like anything was necessarily completely, filled out necessarily for me. Like, I liked it. And then I would be like, oh, I don't feel like I really got connected to that thing. So I liked it, but I wasn't in the trenches with all the plot lines.
I feel like the ending was kind of not anticlimactic, but just like too fast.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, let's get into full spoilers and we'll start from the beginning. I want to talk about Cora as a character because she is the titular character. She's right here. How did you feel about reading from her perspective, I guess? I don't know what my question is. How did you feel about Cora as a character? How did you like being in her perspective, only being from one perspective? Did you find her relatable? Did you find her unreliable? Like, what were your... Do you know what I'm asking?
Like, okay, just the reliable part. Do you mean like unreliable narrator or like reliable character, like as a person?
I think either. Share any of your thoughts on Cora.
Okay. I think she's reliable either way because like I didn't not like her. I just thought she was like average. But I thought she was reliable because she like cared for her sister a lot. She was a little bit codependent, I felt, towards her sister. because she kind of treated Cora like shit sometimes, but anyway. And then the reliability narration wise, I never suspected her as like anything involved. I think she like minded her business enough to just like do her job, clean the crime scenes, and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go home to my pristine home, and get away from all this dirt and germs, which I thought was so ironic that that was her job, and she was like willingly able to do that. But at home, she was like all paranoid and whatever with germs and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was indifferent about her.
I think it's interesting because like I almost felt the opposite about her job. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Where like, because she would really hyperfixate on, you'd think that these things would be repellent to me, but she was attracted to that she could make all of it disappear by like literally zapping it, bleaching it, like draining it, like being like, no, I can make this clean. And that would satisfy something like in her. And so I have OCD. And while this was something I had to like talk about with some people to be like, okay, Katie, reel back. Cause I was like, it did not mirror my OCD, but that doesn't need to, obviously. But to me, at first, when I was like the OCD representation was because it felt like very black and white, very cut and dry. There was no, well, it's okay if I do this, but it's not okay if I do this. It's not okay if I do any of these things. So, and that's not, in most people, that is not realistic to OCD. But for some people, it is that extreme. So I had to like be like, okay, wait a second. She's like just that version of OCD, because there was a couple things that she did or were afraid of that I was like, oh yeah, that's me. Yeah. But so I liked her in the way that she was unlikable in terms of, like you said, like the codependence and stuff like that, because I felt like that was very realistic. It almost felt like they were twins and she was the neurodivergent one. And the family was like, oh, okay, like, bye. So I liked her. This is not a fault of the book. I just was like, wished I had seen myself in the OCD, but that's a pipe dream. Like the book doesn't owe me that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also have been diagnosed with OCD. It's not something that I actively am dealing with anymore. And I talked about that a little bit, I think, in the live show for You Know What You Did by Katie Nguyen. And at first, when I was reading through some reviews, before I had finished the book, people were sharing their thoughts on the OCD representation. And there were times where I was even like, I don't know if she's trying to represent OCD or if she's trying to give a larger look at just like cleanliness. Because I think like also if I was a crime scene cleaner and I had blood on me, I also would be obsessively washing my hands after. And you know what I mean? And so, but then as the book went on, I was like, no, she is trying to represent something specific. And I got it more and I appreciated it more. And I have seen her speak about her own OCD, the author, and how it is a little bit different than Cora's. So I think it's cool for her to represent various things. As far as Cora, to me, I think what I liked the most about her as a character is that she felt like this, I don't know how to explain it. I liked how she was like the embodiment of grief to me. She's grieving her sister. And a lot of times in like any book, we see a character arc and we see a lot of external factors impacting the character and we see them grow in certain ways. And I feel like her growth was so internal, and that's what was really interesting, was watching the grief become like all consuming to being tolerable by the end, which is like the journey of grief, but it wasn't necessarily spoken about. She wasn't saying like, oh, I have been on this journey and I'm slowly getting over the fact that my sister died, or I'm slowly getting used to it. But it was exemplified by how she was acting, and the ways that she was talking about Delilah throughout the book went from like, every single time she referenced Delilah at the beginning, it was in reference to herself. She was like, I am bad compared to Delilah. I am lesser than Delilah. And then at the end, she was like appreciating herself outside of being Delilah's sister. And I think that is just a representation of the journey of grief, is like it becomes something that is just impacting you to recognizing that you can be someone outside of your own grief. I don't know if any of that made any sense, but that's a journey that I liked following with Cora. Okay.
I feel like that makes total sense. And also, like, I do want to reiterate that, like, I knew after I read it that I should not have been like, well, I'm like, no, that is, people with OCD, that is exactly how they feel. Like, for me, when she was like washing her hands and she was like, oh, I just keep thinking about the dirt on my hands, and she's washing it, I was like, that's like, for me, it's not that. It's if I am washing my hands and for a second think about something else, or like,
yeah, you have to start over
a little bit, I have to start again because I don't know how long I've been washing my hands.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I didn't see her have those like blackout moments that I personally feel like I've seen in other books. But maybe they just weren't as clear cut, and like they were happening. And that's when she was kind of having those hallucination moments, you know, or seeing the ghosts.
Well, the thing with the OCD that I thought was really a good representation was the aunt, because the fact that she was constantly thinking like, okay, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to react this way. I'm going to respond this way. I'm going to pretend to be okay. I'm going to smile the right way, answer the right way, because if I don't, then I'm sick. And I don't want her to think that I am,
right?
Because I want to be independent. I was like, oh yeah.
She also had a lot of moments where she was like labeling herself. She's like, oh, I'm the Christian good girl here, and I'm like the introvert here, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, I do that sometimes.
Okay, wait, that's actually a really good point to bring up, because it was almost like she was putting all these labels on herself, because she was saying that when she came to live with them, it was like, she says that her aunt called her pretty little China doll, and that other people, like, say, would call her bat eater, and other people would call her this and call her that. And it's like, she's like self-labeling herself too with all these things because she doesn't know who she is. And I was like, yeah, somebody's cooking here.
Doing something.
Since you brought up Auntie Z, let's talk about side characters. I think we're all going to say if there was a favorite side character, it's her. She was just kind of an icon. There were multiple scenes where she just like flew in and shook things up. How did you like the side characters? I think sometimes in a book like this that has stronger side characters, or ones that really become a part of the story, I always wonder how the book might have been written if we got their perspectives. I don't know if I would have liked any of them, especially knowing how the book ends for those side characters. I guess let's just talk about them in general. How did you feel about them as characters? How did you feel about who lived and who died by the end? You know?
I liked Ife, I think.
Okay, say that again.
Ife?
Ife,
yeah,
okay.
Ife?
I was like, no clue how to pronounce this one.
I forgot you didn't. I was like, did I say it wrong? Harvey was annoying at times, but I was sad when he died. And that was like laundry machine. Oh.
Dude, that was a good death scene.
That was crazy. And there's a question in here that's like, could you predict things? No chance I was predicting Harvey's head was going to be in a washing machine. So no, unpredictable book.
The way his face was like pressed to the glass, the way I was able to visualize.
What?
See, and that is crazy. So I did see that coming, which which is crazy, but I don't know. I don't know why this book, maybe it's just the way that it was written. I was like, this is what I would do if I was her, like the author, which I didn't want him to die, obviously, but I loved Harvey. I loved Ife. I think the thing is that in the beginning, Auntie Z, I feel like you are made to think she's going to be the bad guy, or she's going to whatever. And I kept thinking, why do I not dislike her? Like, I feel like she's cool. And then as it would go on, I'm like, okay. And I didn't dislike Delilah either, but I guess we never really got to know her in actuality. We only knew her in comparison to Coraline's insecurity.
Right.
Her decapitation took me, like, I was not expecting that. I was like, did I read that right? I had to read that like 3 times. And then Ife's death was it was so sad because it was right after she like ranted about her childhood and stuff. And yeah, her past was brutal. Wait, I think I'm getting things mixed up with another book.
No, it was her.
Okay.
I did feel like I was like, why are we talking about this? Like, especially when it was toward the end of the book, and I was like, she's just gonna die like immediately.
Oh
and I
my
was like, why
God.
are we talking about? Like, it just felt like I was like, okay, we're like, I wasn't sure how it, which I'm sure I'm wrong. Somebody please tell me. I wasn't sure how her backstory changed the main character story, or like the story that we were telling.
Right.
I didn't tab, so I don't even. I need to see if I'm getting this mixed up with another person's backstory.
No, you're right. It was her. She was the one that.
I
was
know.
like,
I mean, in another book. In another book that I read.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ife's the one. She had like a sister, and she never got a name by her parents, right?
Oh, the drowned one. The drowned sister. Okay, yes.
She
But
like
drowned her
her
parents.
her sister, was it her or her sister? Her sister killed her parents.
Yeah.
And she was like orphaned, and they never gave her a name, which was like she was just not cared for. I do think that Ife had less of an impact on Cora's story than Harvey, for sure, because I think what Harvey did for the story is he was like, let me check my notes. I said that he contrasted her really well because he was really cold and distant from the crime scenes. He was like, oh, I can do this with no emotional attachment. And Cora was so emotionally attached, like everything impacted her so much, and she was trying to distance herself. She's like, I can be cold like that. I can just like do my job and go home, and not have this impact me. But obviously it continued to, because she saw herself and the people who were dying, and she saw the bats, and like everything couldn't help but impact her. But he almost was something in my mind that she wanted to emulate, his like distance from the job and from the bloody scenes.
I thought Harvey was supposed to be like a depiction of how like white Western society with their media and stuff are like inundated with that kind of violence, but they're inundated with that kind of violence and horror, but are told, but not you. That's not gonna happen to you. That happens to other people. That's not gonna happen to you. You're safe. You're good. Which was, I thought, would have been an interesting little tag on if they had mentioned him realizing that he could get COVID, because I think that was something that for a long time America was like, that's other places. That's not going to come here.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God,
because he did get it.
The roommate. I told myself I would mention Ryan. Oh my God, we got swallowed, and the descriptions of like, what was it, like the trash compact when she was chewing on his head. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, what was the other roommate? Paisley, Ryan, and Paisley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that was like what I guess I expected. I expected them to get some kind of comeuppance because, you know, they were terrible people.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was going to be like the peak of the violence, I guess, in the book. And so when it continued and it was more people that we kind of cared about, that was surprising. I agree. I completely forgot about Ife's impact on, like, they had such a cultural like dynamic. So obviously she did have an impact on the story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she had, yeah, my bad. She did. I just was confused.
Was Harvey Asian?
No.
I didn't think so.
He was a white man.
Okay. I
Because
just always
there was
pictured Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
well,
Oh my God.
Harvey from there, yeah.
they never specifically talk about
Wait, maybe he
his
was.
like what he looks like necessarily, but they do say that there are people that are taking jabs at them on the street, and interviewers coming up and being like, what do you think about like the bats being there and like whatever. And it says, I just remember it said like the only reason that he stopped was because Harvey came over, and it was like a white guy talking to a white guy, and it was like, don't.
Oh, maybe it's just because it was a man. I think.
No, because Cora also, or Yife says to him, you don't realize like that this could have been Cora or I, and you're not realizing this could have been us.
Because they were women, but everyone's saying that Harvey's Asian.
Yeah. And maybe he had an Asian family member. And so perhaps it was more like, was the book giving us white passing?
Mm.
Well, the name Harvey, I guess I just kind of.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder. That's really interesting to think about, because I wonder at what point that was introduced and how we all equally would have missed it then, because like we were so distracted by else going on in the story. I think when I'm preparing for a book club and when I'm reading a Literally Dead book club, I'm so hyper focused on the plot points. And I think when I'm reading on my own time, I really like to visualize characters and I really pay attention to descriptions. But when I'm preparing for a live show, when I'm reading the book, I read it differently. And I'm taking a lot of notes on like the actual plot because I hate to get things wrong. And so then inherently it happens anyway, because I guess I'm not paying attention to the characters as much.
Yeah, someone said to check the art in the book, but I can't really tell if he's Asian or not.
There was the moment where they were wherever they were, and the glass was thrown through, and that was like seen as a hate crime against all of them. So I guess.
Oh, I
believe it.
You know, it probably was just because he was a man. So like, I just assumed that when he kept getting his way and didn't have a connection, I was like, well, he's a white man. Well, that just makes sense. But I will say that glass scene, that was something that I like marked down as like the OCD representation of like when she thinks that night that she was like, it's still in my skin and like it's just gonna burrow deeper and deeper, and like she was just like trying to dig it out. I was like, oh, that's me. Give me a splinter, I will hyper fixate.
Wow, I hate splinters.
Okay, let's talk about other themes. I mean, I feel like the most obvious themes are they're the racism, they're the hate crime, they're the focus on what I noticed as a theme to me was like the dehumanization, and I think that comes into obviously all the racist things that are happening, but it's more like even Cora begins to dehumanize herself. And I think that's where something I really noticed is like she and people in general, like we're expected, I think, especially in workplaces, I would say like almost most workplaces that cater to other people and serving other people, there is no room to be a person. Like it's not about prioritizing anything about yourself. Like that's just not how capitalism works, is where it's not an equal thing between you and a customer. It's like, it's only the customer. Like your health is not prioritized. Your mental health is not prioritized. It's just serving someone else. And Cora, in the moments of cleaning up a crime scene, she didn't get a chance to prioritize herself, and she had to separate herself from reality in order to get through it. And I think the dehumanization was the biggest theme to me, but I was wondering if you guys noticed anything else that you would highlight.
Other than like all the negativity during the pandemic, like loneliness and all that, the herd mentality because of like the killers at the end, which I don't know, I feel like wasn't it like a page and a half long where they explained everything, like that it was
pretty quick. Yeah.
So, but still the herd mentality of that time period and just in general, and how like media triggers fear in people. Yeah, that's all I got.
I think that the reporter, that was something that I found really interesting, like the journalist, about when Ife has that like big explosion on him. That's like, oh, you're saying, why didn't you go to the police, or why aren't you going to the police? And it's like, oh, they're going to say, what? We're looking for a white man. We can't just look for all white men. But you're saying, oh, it's young East Asian ladies that are being killed. And it's like, so they don't have names, so we don't give descriptions, we don't care. It's just, oh, they're Asian ladies, and like we're dying, and everybody looks away because it hurts to look at, but then nobody's paying attention to us. And I was like, that was really interesting, because it was like the media was like pushing this negative agenda of China specifically, but then not paying attention at all, or putting into the media at all the negative things that were happening to them because of what they were doing. Like what they were broadcasting was causing these things to happen, and they weren't putting that out there.
Yeah, I actually highlighted that whole quote. That was my answer for the favorite quotes question. Yeah, page 136 in my copy. Yeah, I love that part too. I was like, so, but it doesn't matter if we're uncomfortable. We don't get to look away. We're dying and no one can hear us. Is how it ends. I was like,
Ugh. Yeah,
You know,
that was definitely an impactful scene. I wonder, like, I think it was a good, like, kind of full circle moment. Maybe I expected it to go a little further, to be full circle, like deadly, you know. Shall we
what?
move into favorite scenes and quotes?
Well, yeah, that was my. I don't. It's a long quote. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but
Yeah.
and I listed them, and I think pretty much all the deaths were my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
The decapitation, the laundry machine.
I mean, they're well written. They were so gruesome.
Yeah. Oh, also when she found out that Delilah wasn't Delilah, that got me. I was like,
Wait,
oh,
what?
you read it wrong. On her
Like
bracelet.
when the ghost following her wasn't actually Delilah. It was just,
Yeah,
you know.
because of the bracelet. And I was like, that's an easy mistake. Yeah.
I think most of the stuff that I highlighted and put up was like, I loved this quote from Ife so much because I was like, oh, that's so real. You are so real. She says, I want to be there for you, Cora, but I almost pissed myself when I saw Harvey. I love you, but if they come for you, I will run away and I will not think twice. I was like, because that's honest. She's like, I would love to be that person, but I can't. And this I related to was there's something peaceful about your worst nightmare coming true. She had hidden from the virus for over a year, but now that it was here, she could face it one moment at a time. And I was like, yeah, that got that. And then I liked the people see Asian women as little dolls, someone to objectify, sexualize, infantilize. How can you miss someone you never saw as someone? How can you feel bad for someone you never saw as a person in the first place? I was like, zoinks.
Oh yeah, when she had to clean like the basement, I thought I was like lost in that scene for a second because I was like, there's two of him? Is she hallucinating this moment? Are these ghosts representing Father Thomas? Like I was a little lost about what was happening, but I was loving it. I was like, whatever's going on, it's creepy and I'm here.
I will say, I expected that priest. I thought he was taking her down in these like catacombs. I was like, is he gonna try something? Like I really thought that's where it was going.
Yeah.
But I did put a quote on the author's note when she says, please do not praise Cora Zeng when condemning Trayvon Martin. I was like, wow. Okay.
Oh, I didn't read the author's note.
Oh.
It was really good.
Everyone loves the crypt scene. I think anytime the bats were mentioned was one that, like, we barely even talked about the bats. Oh my God, the bats were everywhere. They were crammed in every space. Like there was one, I don't think I tapped it, but the quote where it said that the bats were crammed in her guts when they found one of the dead bodies. I was like, in her guts? Like, I was not into that.
Yeah.
Also, when they said he had saved the 10 profiles, not because it was a list of 10 men that one of them could have been the killer. It wasn't one of them could have been the killer. It was they were all part of a movement. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. That hit. Yeah, I usually read the author's note. I don't know why I didn't. I've been slumping so hard this month. 8 days in, but this month. So I'm just like, I need to move up.
The kill of the sister on the track, it took me a minute to conceptualize.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's in front of the train. Okay. Not that it was just her head.
Her head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a while too. I was like, wait, was she? And then I thought she got pushed fully into the track.
And it says the flaps. I was like, the flaps got me. I was like, I can't do this.
I'm just remembering there was a moment where Cora said something about like Delilah can't be a ghost because her body was in so many pieces or something. And I think that was just like her own, that wasn't supposed to be an explanation, but now thinking back, like it was kind of a reference that we should have known that the ghost following her wasn't actually Delilah. Cause she said like the ghost, if your body's in that many pieces, you can't become a ghost or something. I don't think that was a factual thing, but it was like her interpretation. She was like, no, it can't possibly be Delilah.
But then Ife, who was way more knowledgeable about all those cultural things, said she can't rest until we bury her, and they probably didn't get everything. And I was like, ooh. And when they go down there, and I'm like, well, that makes sense that like the blood and everything's still there because they're not going to go and scrub it. It's the train tracks. Like, that's so effed.
How'd you guys feel about the in-between chapters, like those italicized ones? I hate italicized text. I
agree. I actually usually really dislike those. And at the beginning, I was like, is this adding anything to the story? But I came to appreciate them, I think.
Well, I mean, Auntie Z, like.
Yeah, anytime we get to hear from her, it was a good vibe.
Because I was like, she's right. Whatever she's saying, she's right. And I love what they called. They were like, Auntie Z, we're in trouble. She was like, oh, of course you are. Come over.
I really liked when she said, when she just explained the hungry ghost thing, and she was like, you can't sit in that chair. That's for my husband. Because like I have to treat him well in the afterlife. I have to feed him now.
I love when she gave the dog, like the little dog, as the paper. And Cora was like, she hated dogs. She would literally come to haunt me if I burned this. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, true. I think those italicized sections helped us like get a bigger understanding of everything.
I will say the thing that I was like, thing that I called that I thought for somebody who did not catch on until like page 270 in Don't Let the Forest In, which I'm still embarrassed by. I knew in that first chapter, I knew she was going to get pushed in front of that train. Have you seen the first season? Well, there's a certain Netflix show that if you've seen it, you know that is going to happen. But here's the thing. I thought Cora was going to do it.
Oh.
Because she's like, well, one, she is like, has neurodivergence. And she's thinking to herself, like, she's so perfect. But then later when she's crying, I felt that. I was like, oh my God. My arrow ace type 6 can't handle it. Is when she's talking to Delilah and is like, how could you be so nonchalant in leaving me? Like, we've been together for so long. We do everything together. And you're just going to leave and you don't care? Like, did you ever love me? And I thought that she would snap when she was on the train tracks, and that she was going to push her, and that it was going to be like the ghost was haunting her, and that was why the ghost was so angry. And it was like Cora trying to like, whatever. I genuinely, because I didn't read the summary, I really thought she was going to push her sister in front of that train.
That's so interesting.
I thought Harvey was the killer at one point.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why. I think it was when he was in Cora's bedroom. Was it Cora's bedroom or she was in his bedroom? Whatever. I was like, oh, he's getting like close with her. That's kind of fishy. I thought he was like involved, but clearly not. And then he like died a chapter later or something. Well, that was wrong.
The fact that it was not romance and that they were just such good friends was so cute.
Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even consider it could turn into something more. I'm glad it didn't. Like if there was any romantic implications and then he died, imagine.
Yeah, I did think something was going to happen. I thought he was going to try something.
I thought him and Ife were going to get together. I'm sorry, were we not seeing the tension?
A little bit, yeah. The banter.
The banter? I was like, they're going to.
Where? When? In the middle of
I looked, people in the comments when I was reading it were like, I did not see what you're talking about. And I was like, are you joking?
Some like stranger's blood play, you know?
You need to write some fan fiction about them now.
I didn't think we were going to see it. I thought it was just going to be like, they were going to show up in the same car and Cora was going to be like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah, that's why I thought Ife was like a little bit upset that like you guys were in the same bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
I thought she was like a little bit jealous, but.
Okay, there was one other scene I liked for some reason where she went to the eye doctor because she's like seeing things and she wants to get her eyes checked out. And she just asked him why he wants to be an optometrist. And he says that eyes are beautiful organs. There's nowhere else in the human body that you can see a part of the central nervous system without cutting anything open. And I thought that was so interesting, like being interested in the human body, but like not wanting to like do anything surgical. Because every time I go to the eye doctor and they show me that like image of the inside of my eye, I get so skeeved out.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine doing that as a job. For some reason, I just really like that optometrist scene. Katie, can you tell us the moment in the book that you said that Like the horror scene that fucked you up?
That scene.
Oh.
That you're talking about.
Really?
Whenever she talks about, I put I was like seeing this, no, like slicing the layers of a human being. Like, I'm so good. I don't want insides coming out.
Okay.
That. And I put a tag on it being like, and I couldn't write out what it said because I was like, I absolutely not. Where is it? I just said like, I can't do this. Okay. I said, okay, I'll just say the part where she talks about the virus or the thing or whatever, can't say it, that behind your eye that starts eating it while you're still alive and you go blind, that made me want to throw up. That's disgusting. Thank you for horrifying me for life. I'll never forget about that. Absolutely not.
Okay. So are you okay with eyeballs like popping out of your head?
Yeah.
Okay. You just don't want the open and the got it.
Okay, I grew up in Florida where there's a lot of bacterial and fungal infections. Like I found out that if you go into a lake, you can get a fungal infection. Never been in a lake. If you walk around Florida without shoes and socks on, you get ringworm. Never did it.
Okay, but that optometrist, the quote that Kayla said about like what made you want to be an optometrist, I wonder that every time I go to the gynecologist.
Yeah, I'm like, why did you choose this?
Especially if you're a man, why? Weird. But
That's
yeah,
fair.
it's just like, how do you choose, as a doctor, how do you choose a specialty? Unless it's like based on trauma or like grief or whatever, that I understand. But like, how are you just so, I don't know.
Okay, well, actually, that Casey said that. The difference is eyeballs popping your head. Okay, like that's horror. That's like, that's not just happening. Something is being done to you. A virus that you can't see, can't do anything about, you've never heard of before, but is killing you from the inside out. And there's nothing you can do about it.
No, I hate that. Like things going into your orifices.
Okay.
Like earwigs?
No. Earwigs freak me out so much.
Yeah. And that I can never
in my life, but I want to die every time.
I will never forget the fun fact of that you eat 8 spiders a year on average in your sleep.
No, I'm okay.
I heard that.
I'm not doing that. I would like everyone to know that I've never swallowed anything in my sleep never happened. Maybe you, not me. It's never happened to me and it never will, actually. I've never had a bug on me while I was sleeping. It's never happened.
Yep.
The reveals of the book are, okay, so what are the reveals? I guess the one is like who killed Delilah, and the answer is that we never really find out. It's a group of people, because racism is not just an individual thing, it's a societal thing. And so it is a group of people. And I guess my question is, did you like the reveals and could you see them coming? I guess it never occurred to me that would be the answer, because there is one person who did it, and it didn't occur to me that we wouldn't find out who that person was by the end. Do I like that? I think yes, because it gives obviously it's a really bleak ending. We don't get resolution necessarily. We don't get a revenge moment, which is what I thought the book was doing. I thought this was going to be a revenge story for Cora. I do like where it went, because I think, unfortunately, it's realistic and also isn't just giving like one villain is the answer, and is offering us the more societal truth. And then the other reveal is, I guess, just that the hungry ghost following her around isn't Delilah, which is a reveal to me. And I think that's really interesting. But also that the hungry ghosts are real. Like that is a reveal in itself, because we don't know if Cora is hallucinating these things. So as soon as Harvey saw the hungry ghost, I was like, oh shit, they are real for real.
We didn't find out who it was, right? The main ghost following her?
No,
no, I thought that it was the first person that was killed.
Oh, right. The very first body.
Yeah. Right. That's right. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. When Kayla goes first, I have nothing else to say. I mean,
so sorry. Did you see any of it coming? Like, could you predict what was going to happen in the story? Because that's, I think, something that we're all looking for in this genre, is to be surprised. So did it do it for you, I guess?
Yeah, I think it was unique enough for me to not, I didn't really like theorize much during this, other than thinking Harvey was the killer at one point. But other than that, I didn't really try to predict anything for once. I usually try to, I guess because it's more of a horror than a thriller. Thrillers, I'm usually trying to predict stuff, but yeah, I didn't really see that coming. I've never read anything that had a similar reveal, I don't think. So.
I think I thought, I guess not like I was predicting, because I wasn't predicting it, but I was like, oh, this is what I would like to happen, I guess. Well, the thing that got me was the reveal that the ghosts were real and that all of that was really happening. Because at when it happened, I was like, oh, because to me, I almost felt like I was like, oh, it's anticlimactic, because I was like, oh, this is all just actual. Like the aunt was like, well, yeah, it's a ghost. You have to feed it. I was like, oh, okay. Because part of me thought maybe that Cora, it was like a depiction of her grief, and that it wasn't like she was hallucinating in terms of she was necessarily going through like a psychotic episode. Part of me was like, whenever she mentioned that not the bleach, but whatever the chemical was that you could not put on your hands, you could not put anywhere near you because like it would burn through your skin, but she liked to smell it because she wanted to put it on her skin because she wanted to be that clean. I was like, you smell that stuff? I don't think you should do that. I don't know if that should be happening. That's got to have a negative effect on you, like that, you know. And I thought maybe like that was
right,
and that was kind of helping, because they would go on those crime scenes, and then after that, something would happen. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's like the grief in that, and that it was going to be like the ghost isn't necessarily like a hungry ghost trying to kill her. It's like the person she wanted to be that died, and she was like, I'll never be that person. And she was trying to like free herself of that. That's what I thought was going on. Also, we never found, I did not realize what you said, Kayla, that you said that it was one person that was doing all of it. I thought that it was like a group of people.
No, like it was one person who killed Delilah is what I meant. Like, obviously we saw the scene where Delilah was murdered, so we know that it was one person. And so we never actually find out who that one person is. But the book, yes, does think that it's one person, and it turns out to be a group, which I loved. I think I don't love people killing people like that, but I love that that is the answer, because it makes sense. I think that the synopsis, because it says Cora can't be sure what's real and what's in her head, that is the perfect lead in for us to assume that some of what she's seeing is not real. I just imagined like that scene with Harvey when Harvey sees the hungry ghost. Like I imagined it so cinematically. I think this would make such a good movie where we are in Cora's head for like half of it. And then suddenly Harvey's like, oh, who's that? And she's like, you can see her too. Like, oh, I can picture it. I think it'd be so good. Also, like there was a bit of a revenge moment because there was a man, and we also did like get the police who are, you know, covering stuff up, and they are essentially a part of it. And then we had the politician, the mayor, and he was involved. So we did get like specific people who bad things happened to, or we got answers behind. The USB drive and her being led there and what she found on it. I think that was also predictable to me. Because what else would be on a USB drive but horrific images of horrific things?
Right.
Yeah. So there was a bit of vengeance for Cora, and I think that's why I said at the beginning, like this book wasn't exactly like I love horror that's just horror, but I find that I do look for the ones that have a mystery plot because I want an answer for something. And this one, I think I was expecting to find out at least who that person was. So I feel unsatisfied in a way, but I don't think that the book is wrong for doing that.
That's a perfect way to put it. I did like, there were some things that Cora would think where I'd be like, oh, yeah, same. I love the way she put that. But she said Delilah was certain that the train would come. She said she was certain of this the way some people are certain that God exists and dig their fingers in and refuse to believe anything else. I was like, that's a good way to put it. That's interesting. Also, when she says Delilah's body was torn apart, all she had left were her memories. And if she went on the stand, which is why she didn't want to even catch the guy, she said, and the lawyers would tear those apart too, leave her with nothing left of Delilah. And I was like, that's interesting, because she's like, oh, if I go on the stand, it doesn't matter if you're the victim, if you're the defense, if you're the criminal, whatever, the other party is going to rip you apart. So they would be telling her, like, you know, Delilah wasn't actually a good person. Like, what was she wearing? What was she doing? Like, did she instigate? Did she this? Like, bringing up Instagram posts of her past and being like, whatever. And it was like, oh, they would try to discredit her as a witness and Delilah as a victim. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like so difficult when you want vengeance, and you can imagine, you know, going to trial and somebody getting their comeuppance and whatever, but it almost never goes the right way, or in a way that doesn't extremely harm people who are already victims in this situation anyway. Like Cora would be so damaged from having to go through that experience.
Yeah.
Will you read from this author again? Jen, you've read from this author before, right?
Yeah, I've read the duology, the Keeper of Night duology. Love those. 5 stars for both books. She also, someone in the comments was like, Kylie Lee Baker should read more or write more horror. She does include a lot of horror elements in her fantasy as well. Same with The Scarlet Alchemist. I haven't read the sequel yet, but I do own it. Because The Scarlet Alchemist has like, I can't remember the word, but there's a lot of dead bodies. The Keeper of Night, like she's a Reaper / Shinigami. So that deals with like being biracial and stuff too. I love that duology.
Are they YA?
Mm-hmm. I think this is her adult debut. Is this adult? This is adult,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm interested.
Yes,
This amount of gore in a teen title.
I mean, there's a decent amount in The Keeper of Night.
That's what I heard. I heard that people like were telling her that she needs to write horror because of how horrific her fantasy was, which is really interesting. I think I'd be interested to read more from her in this realm, but I also think if she did adult fantasy with horror, I'd be down to read that.
Mm-hmm. The Keeper of Night did read older, I feel like, because it dealt with mature themes, like being biracial and stuff. So. Yeah,
I'm glad we seem to introduce a lot of people here to a new author that they'll read some from. So,
love that.
I love literary horror, so yeah, bring it. I don't even care. I gave this like 3.75. Sure, give me the next one. Because literary, like horror, you don't know. Like this, like we said, I'm like there was nothing wrong with it. I liked so much about it. It just didn't. There was like a little like, but that is. It does or it doesn't happen in horror, and you just don't know. It's like romance. Like you either love it or you don't.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my final question is always, do you have any book or movie recommendations? Something similar in this vein that people can take away and go read or watch after this?
The only one I could think of was All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
That one's like more contained because it's a small town. And this is New York, but it is rooted in racism, and there are a lot of brutal kills in that book. So.
All right.
I mean, The Eyes Are the Best Part is a very obvious one. Like,
oh yeah! Oh my God!
Yes,
You're
that's
so
what
right.
I was thinking. I mean, they came about around the same time. I think they're both literary horror debuts. That one, her first novel ever, and then this one, her first adult novel. So yeah, I definitely see The Eyes Are the Best Part. That's very true. Well, it's not the same at all. Of course, I want to say The Substance just because it disgusted me, but not really the same. I was like, I'm trying to think of like if there's anything that I could relate to like the COVID-ness of it all.
I was thinking of Quiet Place.
Oh, interesting.
That's the only one I liked that's like pandemic-y.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't pick up a lot of pandemic books. Did this one give you more hope that you could read more in the future and like them?
I think so. I mean,
this
I like
nothing to do with the pandemic to me when I was reading it. I was like, they got COVID and it was just fine.
Yeah, I was not fine. I had it 3 times. I was not fine. Yeah, I mean, because I liked what's that one with the hand, the eye, the bird? Your Shadow Half Remains. I like that one. Sorry, I saw the cover. I couldn't remember the title.
I was trying to get there.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends.
Yeah, I think I'm more interested. I'd be down to read more pandemic books in a horror sense, I think, than like a mystery thriller, because mystery thrillers are writing about them all the time. And I'm like, this is too real. Like, this is just real life. I don't think that's for me.
If you want to read a pandemic book that's horror, I mean, I know you've already read it, but that's horrifying is The Stand. Like that's the book that's
Sure.
about a pandemic that's like actually scary.
Yeah, no thanks. It's like, what, 1,200 pages or something? 1,600 pages?
The first half of it, God tier.
I'm rereading it next month.
I was going to say,
I'm nervous about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the KT Nguyen from last year that we read for the book club, You Know What You Did, definitely has some similar themes. It also is a representation of OCD, and you have a main character who's wondering if things are real or if they're not. I also would recommend The Reckoning Comes if you want to follow a ghosty book, just because this one had hungry ghosts and this one is ghosts on a plantation. It has some like similar themes, but it is like no, it's similar because it's like a revenge. It's ghosts getting revenge, I guess. So there's that. And then I was thinking Sadie, just because it's like somebody, their sister dies and she's going, her goal is to get revenge. And then I thought about The Night Guest that we read last year, because we also have a character who like doesn't know what's real. And then there's some really gross animal things happening in it. So prepare yourself for that. But if you liked the disgusting bat horror, there's cats.
And also a narrator that you're like, that doesn't really like themselves and is like trying to change. Because I was going to say for the sister, the only thing that I can think of that has a complicated sister relationship like that, crazy enough, is Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi, because that was another like, they're not twins, but they are like a year apart. And the main character you're reading through the head of constantly thinks like her sister has a better job. She has, her parents respect her. She's prettier. She's all these things. And it's like, oh, the fraught dynamics that comes from like thinking you're less than your sibling who's almost the same age as you was like what that book was all about.
Every time I hear Hungry Ghosts, I think of Coco. Like the movie Coco. So watch Coco if you like the Hungry Ghosts.
Perfect recommendation. If you read this and you need something that's not as disgusting,
yeah,
there you go.
You know what? Good for you that when you think of Hungry Ghost, that's what you get to think about.
Yeah, that's nice.
And as I was looking at this picture, this was so like this helped me visualize. Look at this. Like when she walked into the kitchen or whatever this place is.
That is so creepy.
Scary. Yeah. So my brain still goes to Coco though.
We've read some fantastic picks.
I can't believe we agree.
Yeah. This is coming soon. I hope we love it. I know. I think this was, as much as I do love, and I say this all the time, I love when we all show up to a book club discussion and we all have a range of ratings so everyone can feel represented and it's like a back and forth of negatives and positives. I do actually like when we all like the book and we just like get to say nice things for an hour. It felt good to do that today because I haven't had a great reading year and I just needed a positive conversation.
Aw.
I'm like, am I just gonna like give it I think I'm just gonna give it 4 stars on Goodreads and then just right below it like, oh, 3.5, because I'm like, objectively, this is a 4-star. Mm-hmm. But for the fun that I was having, I would say 3.5, but I'm like, I don't feel right giving it a 3 because it doesn't deserve that.
Yeah.
Did anyone in the chat give it like lower than a 3?
I think I saw 1 or 2 that were like a 3 or a 2.5, but the majority was 4 or above. Some people have said it's their favorite book of the year. Like,
yeah, I've heard that a lot.
This feels so powerful, and I'm so glad that I picked it.
Oh, Monstrilio is a really good rec for a character who thinks that the elders in her family are just kind of not that fictionalizing, and that these cultural things are not real, just to find out that they are, and to and goes into it, and then the elders in the family have to be like, you're not playing by the rules.
Interesting.
Let's wrap this up.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming to chat with us today. I will see you in like 3 weeks for the conversation about Eat the Ones You Love. This is also horror, but I just have a feeling it's going to be more campy and it's going to be more fun because it's about a human eating plant. And it takes place in like a flower shop. And I think it's inspired by Little Shop of Horrors. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have a good time and we will see you then. Thank you guys so much for talking with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.